A brief history of modern Taiwan for political risk analysts. This is a historical summary of Taiwan from 1914 to 2025. Part 1. Japanese colonial rule from 1895 to 1945. At the onset of World War I, Taiwan was under Japanese rule, having been ceded by the Qing dynasty to Japan following the First Sino-Japanese War, through the Treaty of Shimonoseki of 1895. During the war, 1914 to 1918, Taiwan remained quiet and stable, far from the main theaters of battle. However, it served as a logistical base for Japan's expanding military, and as a source of agricultural and industrial resources. During the interwar period, Japan accelerated efforts to modernize Taiwan. Major investments were made in infrastructure, education, and public health, transforming the island into one of the most developed territories in the Japanese Empire. However, this modernization came with the harsh colonial control and cultural assimilation policies, including the suppression of Chinese language education and the promotion of Japanese identity. Taiwanese people were largely second-class citizens, and resistance to colonial rule was suppressed, notably after the Wuxi Rebellion of 1930. In World War II, Taiwan was a strategic Japanese base, hosting military installations and serving as a staging ground for operations in Southeast Asia. As the war turned against Japan, Taiwan suffered from bombing raids by Allied forces. The war ended with Japan's surrender in August 1945, after which Taiwan was handed over to the Republic of China, or the ROC, under the leadership of Chiang Kai-shek. Part 2. Post-war chaos and KMT rule from 1945 to 1949. The transition from Japanese to Chinese nationalist, or KMT rule, was chaotic and traumatic for many Taiwanese. The incoming ROC administration, unfamiliar with local conditions, treated Taiwan as a conquered territory rather than a restored part of China. Corruption, economic mismanagement, and rising tensions between local Taiwanese and mainland Chinese administrators culminated in the February 28th incident of 1947, when protests over government abuses led to a brutal crackdown that killed thousands, an event that left a deep scar in Taiwan's collective memory. In 1949, the Chinese Civil War ended in communist victory on the mainland. The defeated nationalist government retreated to Taiwan, bringing with it about 1.2 million refugees, including soldiers, bureaucrats, and intellectuals. The ROC declared Taipei its temporary capital, continuing to claim sovereignty over all of China. Part 3. Martial Law Era and the U.S. Alliance, from 1950s to 1980s. The 1950s marked the beginning of Taiwan's long period of martial law, from 1949 to 1987. The KMT under Chiang Kai-shek ruled with an authoritarian grip, suppressing dissent and banning political opposition. This period, known as the White Terror, saw tens of thousands imprisoned or executed on charges of subversion. Despite repression, the KMT regime implemented effective land reforms and gradually laid the groundwork for economic development. Taiwan became a key ally of the United States during the Cold War, receiving substantial military and economic aid. It also held the China seat at the United Nations until 1971, when the PRC replaced it. In the 1960s and 1970s, Taiwan experienced a dramatic economic transformation, often called the Taiwan Miracle. Through export-led industrialization, investment in education, and tech development, Taiwan evolved into one of the four Asian tigers, producing electronics, textiles, and machinery for global markets. Part 4. Democratization and Identity Shift, from the 1980s to 2000. After Chiang Kai-shek's death in 1975, his son Chiang Ching-kuo initiated limited reforms. In 1986, opposition parties began to form, and in 1987, martial law was lifted. Taiwan began transitioning towards democracy. In 1992, the first fully democratic legislative elections were held. In 1996, Taiwan held its first direct presidential election, with Lee Teng-hui, a native Taiwanese and member of the KMT, winning office. Lee promoted a distinct Taiwanese identity and further distanced Taiwan from the authoritarian past. Meanwhile, Taiwan's international status became increasingly complicated. The People's Republic of China, or the PRC, considered Taiwan a renegade province and threatened force if it declared independence. The U.S. adopted a policy of strategic ambiguity, maintaining unofficial ties with Taiwan while formally recognizing the PRC. Despite international isolation, Taiwan thrived economically, particularly in semiconductor manufacturing and high-tech industries. Companies like TSMC, or the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, became global leaders. Part 5: Democratic Consolidation and Cross-Strait Tensions from 2000 to 2016. In 2000, Taiwan experienced its first peaceful transfer of power when Chen Shui-bian of the Pro-Independence Democratic Progressive Party, or the DPP, won the presidency, ending over 50 years of KMT rule. Chen's tenure was marked by tense relations with Beijing, which saw his moves as edging toward independence. Beijing responded with military threats and diplomatic pressure, while the U.S. continued arms sales to Taiwan. Cross-strait tensions simmered even as economic ties grew. Mainland China became Taiwan's largest trading partner. In 2008, the KMT returned to power under Ma Ying-jeou, who sought better relations with the PRC. His administration signed economic agreements, initiated direct flights, and increased tourism from the mainland. However, many Taiwanese feared economic overdependence and political encroachment, leading to the Sunflower Student Movement in 2014, which protested a trade pact with China. Part 6: Tsai Ing-wen and Taiwan's Assertive Identity from 2016 to 2025. In 2016, Tsai Ing-wen of the DPP became Taiwan's first female president. She was re-elected in 2020 with a record-breaking mandate, as Taiwan's democracy and pandemic response earned international admiration. Tsai rejected Beijing's one country, two systems formula, especially after the crackdown in Hong Kong. Under her leadership, Taiwan asserted its distinct political identity, emphasizing democracy, human rights, and sovereignty, though stopping short of formal independence. Taiwan's global profile grew significantly despite being excluded from most international organizations. Taiwan gained support from democratic allies such as the United States, Japan, and European nations. U.S.-Taiwan relations strengthened, especially under the Trump and Biden administrations, which increased arms sales and high-level visits. At the same time, China ramped up military pressure, conducting frequent incursions into Taiwan's air defense zone and staging naval drills around the island. These acts heightened fears of potential conflict, especially as Xi Jinping reasserted that unification with Taiwan was a historical mission. Economically, Taiwan remained resilient and even prospered during the COVID-19 pandemic, thanks to strong public health measures and global demand for semiconductors. Taiwan became indispensable to global supply chains, with TSMC at the center of the tech world. Part 7: The Road Ahead, Taiwan in 2025. As of 2025, Taiwan remains a vibrant, high-tech democracy facing unprecedented geopolitical pressure. While there has been no outright conflict, cross-strait relations remain fraught. Taiwan's defense budget has increased, and public support for maintaining the status quo, neither declaring independence nor unifying with China, remains strong. In January 2024, the DPP won a third consecutive presidential term, with Lai Ching-te, or William Lai, elected president. Lai, a staunch advocate of Taiwanese identity, pledged to continue Tsai's cautious but firm stance against Beijing's pressure, while strengthening defense and deepening international partnerships. The Biden administration and its successors have continued to bolster U.S.-Taiwan relations, even as Washington walks a fine line to avoid open conflict with Beijing. Meanwhile, the European Union, Australia, and Japan have expressed growing solidarity with Taiwan, especially regarding peace in the Taiwan Strait. Internally, Taiwan continues to address issues like income inequality, an aging population, and energy transition, while remaining a global leader in semiconductors, renewable energy, and democratic innovation. Conclusion: from a Japanese colony to a Cold War frontline, from authoritarian rule to a thriving democracy, Taiwan's history from World War I to 2025 is one of profound transformation. Today, Taiwan is a symbol of resilience, innovation, and democratic values in East Asia. While it faces grave external pressures, especially from a rising China, Taiwan has carved out a unique and respected role in the international community, with its future closely watched by allies and rivals alike.